So some of you have not done any of these seminars with me, some of you have. So I'm going to kind of reintroduce myself. I've been a trainer, a dog trainer and behaviorist for over 15 years. I had Houston's largest dog training facility, 12,000 square feet inside. We did daycare, boarding, grooming, retail. So I spent a lot of time with a lot of dogs, and I've trained over 5,000 dogs. So mostly they were pet dogs, which people want you to believe is kind of a lesser type of training. But honestly, I didn't know that when I became a trainer. I didn't even know obedience and rally existed. So, so my pet dog training was very, very thorough and very good. And I actually bring a lot of that to the training I do with my clients for rally, because I've noticed a lot of kind of show trainers, people who train and show and have been doing that all along, tend to train just for the ring, and my proofing includes so much more than that. I'm not ever training for the ring. I'm training for any time. So let's see. So the first thing we need to go through, and some of you, many of you already know this, but we're gonna do it anyway, is how to register your dog. So I think it was Christy. Christy, did you say you haven't done any showing yet?
No, I haven't done any showing. I've done some confirmation showing, but that was it.
Okay, so you know how to enter. Your dog's already registered. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And, yes.
Okay, good, good. But registering a dog is fairly easy. Go to the AKC website and it'll say register a dog at the top. And then when you go there, it will give you on the registration page some choices. And the choices are just a purebred registry, and it's usually when the dog's parents have papers, or if the dogs have papers and they're coming from another country. Those dogs can be intact or they can be neutered. They have to be a recognized AKC breed, and they're eligible to do just about anything except if they're neutered. They can't do regular conformation, but they can do juniors conformation. So that's the first kind, and that you kind of know if your dog has papers, but not everybody who gets a papered dog sends in the information for it. And like with mine, I had to go through FSS with Flitzer because they were just starting to do Russell Terriers. And so I had to take her paperwork from her registry and kind of go through a series of things and get her to the point where she was registered with AKC through Foundation Stock Service. So if you have kind of a new breed that AKC is just looking at and they're under the FSS or Foundation Stock Service, you can do that through an open registration process. The next kind is PAL, purebred alternative listing. So if you have a dog that is obviously a purebred, pure breed, no. If you have a dog that's purebred, obviously, like a lot of people will get beagles from a rescue, or they'll find a stray border collie or something like that, and you know that that's what that dog is. You can register the dog through PAL, purebred alternative listing. You have to take 3 pictures of the dog to send in to AKC so that they can see that the dog looks purebred. And the only thing with that is the dog definitely has to be neutered or spayed. You have to send in the paperwork showing that the dog is neutered or spayed. And they can do everything that any other of their breed does except for conformation, but they can do juniors conformation. So, or junior handling. The reason you might want to do that, if you do have a dog that is purebred, is they can then be in like specialty shows. They can get special awards, like a club may offer a $50 gift certificate for the high scoring Russell Terrier. And so if you have a Russell Terrier, you can go ahead and be eligible for that award. So really, if you do have a dog that looks purebred, but is a rescue and is spayed or neutered, that's really the way to go, because it opens up a few more doors for you. Not a whole lot, but a few more. We had an AM staff that we registered under the purebred alternative listing that my daughter, it ended up being her first juniors dog. And we didn't register that. We didn't register her for that. But as we went along, we started learning new things. And my daughter wanted to do juniors, then we were able to use Violet. Okay, so the next one is the canine partners, which is just any old dog, as long as it's neutered or spayed. You don't have to send in pictures, and they become all-American dogs is what they're called. So that's any dog ever. You can just go ahead and register them that way. And they can do everything a dog under PAL can do, except for juniors, of course. But they do need to be spayed or neutered. And then the last one is international. And if you have a dog from another country that has papers, I've never done this myself, but it's a pretty easy process, right? Pretty straight through. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's a pretty straightforward process. And chances are, if you got a purebred dog from another country, you probably have an idea of what you're doing. Okay, so that is the quick, oh wait, let me let people in. That's the quick version of how to register your dog, because your dog has to be registered before you can show your dog in AKC events. So the next thing is entering a show, which also, so I'm going to talk about real life shows first. And it's fairly easy to do. If you go to the AKC website, it has an events button, and you click on that, and then you go to the AKC page where you can search for events. So you can put in your city, or you can put in your state. You can put in whether you want indoor shows, outdoor shows. They've really, so I was living in Ukraine for 2 years, and they did a lot while I was gone. When I first went to look at it, when I came back, I was actually impressed, and it's the first time I've been impressed about the AKC website. So, so you put in where you live and what type of show you're looking for: rally, obedience, indoor, outdoor, that type of thing. You can even look at what judges are judging which shows. And then you click on that, and you can take a look at the shows. When you find one that you're interested in, it will have all the show information, and you need to get the premium. Now, I don't know if they're always available online. Are they always available through the search engine? Always now? Yes, okay, okay. Because the premium will tell you everything about the show, and it will tell you who the judges are, when the show is going to be. It has lots of different information about it, and it also has the entry form. So there is an entry form online, a blank one, but you would still
every Monday at 7 o'clock.
Danny, is that you? Can you hit your mute button? Maybe it's not Danny. Okay, you can also find blank ones online that you can print off, but you still need to know the show number and the date, so you have to get the premium anyway. You're going to need the information that you got when you registered your dog. You're going to need their AKC number. You're going to need, if they're purebred, you're going to need to know their parents and their breeder, their birth date, things like that on the form. And then you have to sign it, and you have to send in both sides of the form. So one page is all about what you're going to be doing. The other page is about juniors. So you may think you don't need to send it in, but you have to send it in. Also, you don't have to sign anything. You don't have to fill anything out, but you do have to send it in. And then once you send that in, you'll get a confirmation of, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the poodle. We've got shiny thing syndrome, and dogs are the shiniest things in the world. So you'll get a judging, you'll get a confirmation, and then you'll get a judging schedule. And it will tell you what your number is. It will tell you when you're going in the ring, how many other people are going to be in that class with you, and fun stuff like that. So that's very important, because even if a show starts at 8 o'clock, you may not be in the ring until 4 if it's a big show. So you definitely want to take a look at that and carry that with you. Excuse me about the entries. Oh, so when it says that a class begins at a certain time, they have to start it after that time, unless everybody is there and checked in and everybody agrees to it. So if you're, if they get done with the class before and they want to do your class early, they can't do it unless you're there, checked in, and agreed to it. Unfortunately, many times the stewards will not check with everybody. So, so it's very important that you kind of let people know that you don't want to start early for whatever reason. I'm often the first dog in the ring, or my dog is the first dog in the ring. So if they want to start a class early and I haven't prepared my dog, I will say no. So it'll just give me an opportunity. Oh, and in this COVID era, because we couldn't wait in the building and I'm 15 minutes from the show site, I went and checked in as soon as I could, and then came back home and was going to leave a half an hour before my class started. And they called me as I was getting in my car, and they said that they were done with the other class and they were going to start my class in 10 minutes. And I said, nope, can't do it. I'm just in my car. I'm not even there. So that's a new kind of glitch that can happen if everybody doesn't agree to it in these days of COVID. So, all right. Any questions so far? I feel like I'm talking way too fast. But most of you know this, and those of you, if you don't know it and need me to slow down a bit or go over something again, definitely unmute yourself and speak up, okay? All right, once you get to the show, you need to check in. Oh no, set up first. I don't know, like we did it in our cars this time around, and I'm sure that's what a lot of show sites are doing now, but you want to get set up. You want to get comfortable, you want to potty your dog, and then you want to go into the steward's table when you're able, and you want to check in. They'll give you an armband and one rubber band usually, but take two because otherwise it hurts, and if it breaks, it falls off. Let me see, let me make sure nobody else is in. Okay. And that goes on your left arm, and it should be so the judge can see the number clearly. Okay, so don't like have half the number tucked under your armpit. Have it so the judge can see it clearly. You're going to grab a map along with your number when you check in. If they don't have maps, and I think right now the protocol is not to have maps, you need to find the map on the wall and take a picture of it. Because your first real duty is going to be to go back to your setup, sit down in the chair that you brought, because you have to bring your own chairs. For those who've never been to a dog show, crate and chair and water bowl, is to go over the map and kind of get a feel for it. First of all, I like to draw a line where the things are going, because they tend to be like, you tend to have S-shaped ones or H-shaped ones or concentric circle ones. You know, there's like a pattern to how it flows in a good course. So I like to kind of do that so I get this idea of where I'm going. And then I look at all the signs and I find the ones that I can't remember exactly. Like, are you supposed to pause when they return to heel or not? So I check all of those, and then I choose the 3 signs that my dog and I do the worst. Because you can't learn everything all at once, but if, you just take your 3 worst and you play some games with your dogs doing those. Always make it feel like a game, because shows are supposed to be fun. So you get your dog out and you go someplace quietly and you work on those 3 signs and just have a really good time with it. Okay, and everybody's got different signs that they need to deal with. And then put your dog up and relax, right? Don't stress, don't focus on the dog and like push all your stress onto the dog. Just chill, take your phone, check Facebook, watch some videos, because we really can't talk to people now, but read a book, do something fun, and just relax until it's almost time for you to show. And then about 15 minutes beforehand, get your dog out, take your dog out to potty. Always take your dog out to potty before they go in the ring. And then just do some fun training warm-ups. Don't get serious with it. Don't push them. Just do things you know they're going to be successful at, and just have a good time before you step into the ring. And then when your name is called, you're going to step up to the gate, the opening, and you're going to wait for the judge to invite you in. Don't go into the ring until the judge invites you in, because they don't appreciate that. I've learned. And then once she invites you in, you're going to step over to the start sign, and you're going to not care about the judge. The judge does not matter in all of this. It is all about your dog. Look down at your dog, pet your dog for a second. Do not pick your dog up. Tell your dog what a good dog they are. Really enjoy your dog for 10, 15 seconds. And then the judge will ask, are you ready? And if you're not ready, you can say no, although some judges will ignore it, so be ready for that. And then get your dog's focus on you. And then you're ready to go. Then when you say ready, the judge will say forward, and you can go forward and start the course. Be aware, anytime you step in that ring, you're being judged. I've apprenticed at shows where people have lost 10 points before they even got to the start sign, because they're tugging at the leash, their dog is pulling them, and you can lose a lot of points between that gate and the start sign. So focus on your dog, keep your dog focused on you, make those first few seconds fun before you go. All right?
Can you bring any treats?
Oh, no.
Are you allowed to give any treats?
No,
No
not in
treats
AKC.
at all, right?
No
Not
treats.
even outside.
Well, you can
Well,
outside, but you have to be careful, because if, you know how sometimes dogs go and the treat pops out?
oh, yes.
If they do that in the ring, the judge goes, go home. That's it.
Really?
No more. Yeah. I mean, they're nicer than that. But yeah, no treats at all, no toys, no training aids of any kind. So, and you know, that's kind of subjective. If you're on any of the rally lists, you know, there's a lot of discussion about it. Like, I consider training vests a training aid. Some people don't, some judges do, some judges don't. So just play it safe, and don't have anything on you, just a nice shirt and a pair of slacks. Also, the dog has to be on a collar that has nothing hanging from it.
Oh.
And you have to use a leash that clips to the collar, and the length of the leash doesn't matter, except you want to make sure that the leash is loose. In novice, I would say most points come from that tight leash. So you want to be really careful about that and set yourself up as much as possible for success. Once you leave the ring, thank the judge as you're out. Walk out nicely with your dog under control. When you get away from that gate, you just love on that dog, because they just did a whole lot for you. And even if you NQ and they screw up, they don't know that, but we want them to think that everything that happens at a dog show is really good. I've seen so many dogs shut down because people run out of the ring like, I can't believe he didn't do it, and I've done it. And the poor dog's just cowering and has no idea what's going on, except they know that they did this thing, and then scary things happen. So you want to make sure that the dog feels good about being in the ring and coming out of the ring. And then if you screwed up or your dog screwed up, put them in the crate and go someplace else. Like, rant, rave, what, cry, I don't care, but it's not in front of the dog. It's always good for the dog. The dog just can't understand anything else. Then they will post your scores. You don't want your dog with you when you see them. What? I know I just lose 10 points. So they'll post your scores, and you'll be able to see what your score is. If you qualified, which means you got a 70 or higher, then you need to stick around for ribbons. I know in the show I was just in, they were doing ribbons outside the ring with everybody far apart, which I thought was silly, because you can do that in the ring too. And oh, I know what it was, because they weren't actually giving ribbons. They had ribbons placed on the table, and you had to pick your ribbon up. So my qualifying ribbon, I didn't even pick up. She got first place, and so that's the only one I took home. Any questions about your first show? No? Okay. So when you do your first show, for those who haven't been in the show yet, I'll send you my phone number because you'll have all kinds of questions once you get there. Be like, oh, I can't remember anything she said. All right. So virtual rally, which I'm working on now. I haven't done it yet. So, and for those of you who are on the rally list, I like virtual rally. I have to go down on record as saying, I like virtual rally. I think it's great. I just think it's different enough from regular rally, and I think it should get a different title, but that's whatever. In order to do virtual rally, the first thing you need to do is open up a Google account. If you don't have a Google account, hopefully most of us do, but you're going to need a YouTube account, and in order to get a YouTube account, you need a Google account. So go to Google and open up an account there, and then go over to YouTube and open up an account there. It's free. They just ask some information. It's really no big deal unless you get addicted to it and start posting videos all the time. So once you have that done, then you can start working on making the video to submit. They have five different courses, so you have to use a different course for each one. The rules as far as no treats and the type of leash and nothing hanging from the collar, etc., it's still the same for that. So just be aware of that. You need to choose your course, and you don't have to print out signs or buy signs, although you can if you want. I always love having a set of signs, but then again, I'm a trainer and whatever, but you can hand draw the signs. So you can just take like a notebook paper and hand draw signs and use those. So you just need to make the 12 signs or whatever's in the course and can use those. The signs don't need to be seen by the judge. So as you're setting up your course, they don't need to stand upright like they do in regular rally. Okay, you can just put them on the ground, but the judge needs to see that there's a sign there. So if you're doing it in long grass or something, and the judge can't see that flat piece of paper, you're going to get marked off 10 points because he's got to know where the sign is, because he has to see if you approached it properly and passed it properly. Okay, so be aware after you set up your course, always check and make sure that all the signs can be seen. Of course, people are coming up with all kinds of fun ways to stand the signs up. Somebody the other day had a cup, like a solo cup, and they just taped it there. And then somebody said, well, the wind will blow it over. And I thought, well, just do it the other way and put a rock in the bottom. Like, or get some.
If you could have marking cones, like those little, like kitty cones, the orange cones that you do the drills with.
Mm-hmm.
Can you use those?
So the ones I'm using, I got for $1 at the dollar store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they have strips coming down. They're not solid. So you can cut one of the strips and you can put the paper in that. So anyway, so that's, you just want to make sure that the judges can see. And thank you, Marie. But yeah, so you can look at all kinds of ways to do it. You can tape it to a pencil and stick it in the ground. I mean, just as long as you've got that sign there and you can see it and the judge can see it, you're good. So once you set the course up, then you have to be ready to film. The courses show where the camera should be. It's required to be there. It's not like a suggestion. It's required to be there. So even you can use a person or you can use a tripod. My suggestion would be, if you're going to use a person, still have a tripod. Oh my gosh, I hate watching videos on YouTube of runs and everything's going like this and you're like, oh. So just put it on a tripod. Somebody can zoom in or out from there. The person, if you've got one of those tripods with a handle on it, they can turn the camera to follow you if they need to. But please, for the judge's sake, nobody wants Nobody wants to make a judge annoyed. So just get a tripod, put it on the tripod, and then it doesn't matter what you film with, whether you film with a camera or a phone, but please, 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 please have it landscape. As a matter of fact, never ever take a photo or a video again with your phone like this. Always have it like this. Always. I don't care what you're doing. It just makes the pictures look so much nicer, and the video, it includes so much more. So have it in landscape so that it's long and thin as opposed to tall and skinny. And you need at least 720 DPI, which almost every camera, decent camera and phone will do. So you want it just so that it's clear enough so that the judge can see it. The clearer it is, the better it is for the judge. And again, nobody wants to annoy a judge. Make it easy for them, because judges are very forgiving people. And so if they're happy sometimes, their pencil might not be as sharp. So, I mean, not that they would cheat, but there's always those gray areas like, should I or shouldn't I? So make the judges happy. Once you're done with the video, and of course, you can do the course over again if you mess up. If you're happy with the 75 and all you want is the leg, that's fine. The points, and there's no placements, they don't go to anything, so it doesn't really matter. But if you really mess up, or if you're just unhappy with it, or you just want to give your dog another chance to show his stuff a little bit better, then go ahead and do it a second time. It's not a big deal with virtual rally. And once you're done, you have to upload it to YouTube. If you have a phone, you're going to want to download the YouTube app. So you're going to go to the Play Store or whatever they call it for iPhone, and you're going to download the app. And then once you do that, you're going to go back to your video. Oh, and don't forget the new rule. What is it? 5 seconds before you go in and 10 seconds after you come out? Yeah, so be sure to add that. So don't just go up there and start marching in the ring. Stand at the gate like you would for a judge, and that 5 seconds is when the judge calls you into the ring, okay? And I think what they want to see is that people aren't using treats or it's just lots of things you can see. People generally will, like, if they have a treat in their mouth, which I've seen, take it out and give it to the dog when they get out of the ring. So, but anyway, so go back to the video, and you're going to share the video. And when the little box comes up with the different ways you can share it, you're going to put down YouTube. You're going to press YouTube and fill in the title of it. That's the only information that you need. And press post, and it will send to YouTube. Okay, and then you can hit share once it's at YouTube, and it will give you the URL, which you're going to need for your entry form. Okay, any questions so far? No?
Yes, I have a question in regards to the actual course.
Okay.
How far are the signs supposed to be apart from one another? Because I've never been able to get clarification on that.
Okay, good question, and I definitely looked that up. There are no requirements for how far the signs have to be from each other. And I actually had this down here, but I just started going and wasn't looking at it, because kind of a good strategy is don't make them so far apart that you've got a lot of heeling in between, because you're going to lose points on that heel unless your dog's really good. So it doesn't matter how far apart they are. You just want it to be comfortable. And the size of the ring doesn't matter. There's no requirements at all for the size of the ring. So
okay. My second question is for novice. If you do have a dog that heels very well, does it have to be on leash, or can you choose to be off leash and novice?
it definitely has to be on leash. Novice is always on leash.
Okay.
Novice and intermediate. So the two they have are both on leash ones.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have one of those dogs that heels really well off leash, and then once you put the leash on, kind of becomes an idiot?
Yes.
Okay. I run into many of those. Okay. Yeah, so definitely on leash. And of course, you don't have to heel, and we'll get into that later, but you really do kind of have to heel. Like that's the rule, is to heel. It's just you have a half point one way or the other, and how tight your heel is. And rally is basically a game of heeling where you throw in some behaviors. Tracy Kernisberg said that, and she won the Rally National, I think, a couple of years ago. Can't remember what. Anyway, more than a couple of years ago, because I was still in this country. But yeah, so work on that heel with the leash on.
For clarification, if anyone be doing ASCA, it is required to have a 6-foot lead.
Oh, okay, thank
in
you.
novice.
I've done ASCA, but I didn't look up particulars about all the other ones right
And then
now.
if you would be considered for high-end trial, in the upper classes, you would be showing off lead, but you would need a 6-foot leash because the tiebreaker is the novice course. So
Oh,
therefore you would need a 6-foot lead again.
oh, thank you. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, good to know, because my main leash is 3.5 feet. I had it specially made. So,
Yeah,
but
I've
I-
seen that quite often. That's why a lot of people get into jam when they're in the upper classes in ASCA, and then they're up for high-end trial.
right.
Give me your leash, give me your leash.
I need a leash. I need a 6-foot leash. Yeah. I've done that. Hey, I showed up at a show one time in flip-flops. I forgot my shoes. I was going around to people asking if I could wear their shoes. Like, what size shoes do you wear? So.
Question about leashes. Is there a particular material that is best? Because normally I use leather leashes, and those can look like they're kind of taunt or pulling when they're really not.
Well, leather is fine, but if that's an issue, I mean, I would find a solution for it. It could either be get a softer leather leash. My leash is leather, but it's very soft, or work on having more leash given to the dog so that you've got more of a J. So, but yeah, before you're in the ring, I would work on finding the solution to that. So, whatever works for you. Okay.
So I have a question on the
Okay.
signs. So there's no map that tells you where and how far the signs need to be in your commands then? I do agility, so I'm kind of not used to that.
Right. And see, in regular rally, there is, I mean, the judge takes up the whole ring, which is a certain size.
Mhm.
But in the virtual rally, there is not.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it shows you where each one goes,
Right.
but not how far apart they have to be.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I have a 10-pound dog. Well, she's already got her rally. She's already got her lower rally titles. If I were to do that with her, I would put them fairly close together because there's less space in between, less space that I have to heel. I will be doing it with my daughter's rather large Aussie, so I'll put them further apart.
Okay, because I have 2 little ones and I have an Aussie, so
Okay.
yeah, that'd be good. Okay.
All right. And
Thank
somebody else had a question?
Yeah. Is there a specific number of commands in a typical rally ring?
No, there's, and as we go further into rules and training and things, and the other ones, we'll talk more about this, but there's unlimited communication, except that you can't plead. So if your dog, if you stop and your dog doesn't sit for a halt, and you go sit and your dog ignores you, you can go like, Flitzer, sit, come on, Flitzer, sit. That would be unlimited communication. It might also be lack of teamwork, but chances are, especially in novice, you're not going to lose any points for that. But if you stop and you go sit, 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 then you're pleading, and you're going to lose a lot of points for that. Okay?
Okay.
So your communication should be communication and not just a whole lot of noises trying to get your dog to do something.
Right.
That make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And you know, I have seen so many things in rally. And one time there's this one lady had a teeny tiny little, some kind of terrier, and she would go along and she'd be like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And she'd go, she'd bend over, she'd go, down, 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 down. And she'd keep going further and further. And the dog would just be looking around. And then she'd go, forget it. And she'd walk on. And a lot of times she was just excused from the ring. So, all right.
I have one question about naming conventions for when you upload.
Yeah.
What is the naming convention? Is there a certain format for the naming convention?
For the what conventions?
Then like when you name it.
I don't think there is, because you're sending the URL. So you could put something like your dog's name. No, I wouldn't even put your dog's name, because the judge isn't supposed to do the dog name. You can just do like, I think you have to put the course number in there. So you could do like Rally course number 5. And then because it's with your submission, they'll know that it's you.
I see what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah. So in shows, the reason why you wear a number and they don't go Holly Ferguson in the ring with Flitzer right now, they'll say, you know, terrier number, whatever, or
Gotcha.
is because the judge technically is not supposed to know who the person or the dog is. But we all know how that works out.
Right, and that's why I was trying to figure out what the naming convention was. I've not looked into the virtual yet, but I'm really interested in it.
Yeah.
So, okay, very good.
Now I would say double check on that, because I remember seeing that it said to put the course number in there, but I wasn't looking for anything beyond that. So
right, but I was just thinking, you said there's only 5 courses,
and
then there's thousands of us submitting on the 15th of August.
Right. Like I said, it's going to be on your entry. So they're going to click on it directly from your entry. I'm assuming. I don't know. It would be interesting. I'll ask some judges about that and see how that's being played out at their end. So, but I do know you have to have the course number in there so that they know what you're going to be doing, because they can't see the signs or what's on the signs.
Okay.
So, all right. Let's see. Okay, so once you upload it, now you've got the URL, and you just go over to the AKC website and you find the Rally virtual page, which you just go to events and then Rally. Once you get to the Rally page, it'll say virtual Rally program, and then it will have the entry form there. You fill that out, including your URL, and you send that in, and then you go to PayPal, and that you pay. They have the address for you. Like, has anybody not used PayPal? Everybody's used PayPal?
I have not used PayPal. I guess I have to set up a PayPal account too.
No, actually you don't. That's the good thing. But you have to have an email address to send it to.
Okay, I've got that.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, you have to have their email address to send it to them.
Oh.
So they have on the submission form their email address, so that when you go to PayPal, they know who to send that money to. But yeah, you can just pay with your credit card through PayPal, because I really hate PayPal. I don't know if I should say that, but I do. So I used to have an account, and I don't anymore because it was just quite a pain in the neck. All right. And then you sit and wait. They say within 30 days. Everybody has been making it sound like they're getting caught up and getting quicker and quicker, and getting you the results. Okay. And judges do not need to tell you what you lost points for. That's in virtual or real life Rally. They can, if they would like. You can ask. And I think with the virtual, they are sending a form, but it doesn't have a whole lot of information on it. But yeah, they have no requirement to tell you anything about your run, except for the score. Unless it's an NQ, then I guess that's your score. All right. So we're going to talk, let's see, okay, 45 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about getting ready for the Rally ring. When we do the other ones, we'll talk about specific signs and behaviors for those signs and some of the things that I like to do to teach those signs. But today we're going to talk just a little bit about getting ready, because a lot of dogs can sit and down, and they can stay, they can do all these wonderful things outside of a ring. But once you're in a ring, there are some behaviors that need to be really, really ingrained in the dog in order to get a good score. So the first one is attention. Your dog needs to pay attention to you, because I can guarantee, especially if you've got a 10-pound Russell Terrier, if they look away, they are not paying attention to you. They're everywhere else. In their head, they are someplace else. They're looking at the kid eating the hot dog over here. They're looking at that scary judge writing on the clipboard. So you want your dog to look at you. My dog, when we were working on Rally, we were working on our RAE. That's how far along she was. We were at Reliant, which is this huge show, and they have 3 rings in a row. And we came to a halt, and I halted, and she sat, and her head looked over to the other ring, and I knew at that second she was going to be gone. And she literally jumped through the gate and visited the dog in a stay in the ring next to ours. And fortunately, that dog is like the best trained dog I've ever known. And the guy who handles that dog, they win high in trial constantly. And the dog just sat there. And fortunately, my little terrier was friendly. She was all like, oh, I love you, I love you. We didn't go back in the ring for another year. I spent that much time working on her to keep her attention on me, even when her friend dog is in the other ring. So, so that's how important attention is. You really want to ingrain that. And terriers are like ADD. Have you ever seen that picture? It's like a little ditch, and there's a path next to it, a little stream and a path next to it, and they have different color lines, and they're like, you know, lab, and it's like all over the place, and the beagle, it's like straight ahead, and then the Jack Russell Terrier goes a little ways out, and then whoop, totally off the picture. So, all right. So attention, the things I do to start attention, especially, is to play a game called Peekaboo. And it's very simple. I keep my dog on the left-hand side on a short leash, a relaxed leash though, just holding the dog there, and I go different places. And when the dog looks at me, I just say, good dog, and I pop a treat in the dog's mouth. I start that with when they're puppies, but I've had enough clients who've started it with adult dogs that it's not, you know, they'll all get it. And that's all I do for the first couple of weeks, is just go different places with different distractions, and dog looks at me, good dog, I pop a treat in their mouth. And then, so that's peekaboo number 1. That's the remedial peekaboo. If your dog never ever looks at you when they're outside, I call it attention deficit dog. And when I first started my training facility, I actually polled a lot of, I'm saying that word wrong, I'm sorry. It just sounds wrong to me, but that's okay. My English is coming back quickly. Anyway, polled a bunch of people, and I asked what they wanted from a trained dog. And of course, these are pet dog people. I got 3 things. I got sits when I tell them to, walks nicely on a leash, and looks at me when we're outside. Because most of the people I spoke with had dogs that didn't even look at them when they're outside. So that's the first step. Just going places, standing there, not moving, not walking, not talking to the dog, just ignoring the dog, just standing there. When the dog looks up, good dog, reward. The second phase, I like to mold behaviors a lot, so my exercises usually have several different versions. So the next one is you stand with the dog on a loose leash, and when they look at you gently, you praise, and when you look at you, gently praise twice. So I'm standing there, my dog looks at me, good dog, good dog. And if the dog has looked at me for both good dogs, the dog gets a treat. So now we're creating duration. So the dog is looking at me for a longer amount of time. After a while, it's good dog, good dog, good dog. Okay, so you start adding good dogs. Carolyn, do you remember doing peekaboo with yours? Do you remember that? Yeah, because you have terriers too, had terriers.
Oh, yes. No, not red. Westies.
What?
What's these? Terriers.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All three.
And so, yeah, you're just rewarding, and you're increasing duration, and you're doing it lots of different places, in the house, outside the house, in the bathtub. I mean, this is what I was talking about when I said, when I trained pet dogs, like, we went above and beyond. Like, stand on your bed and do this exercise. Stand on your bed and tell your dog to down. Like, stand on your bed, tell your dog to do anything, and chances are, unless you're really, really good, they're gonna be like, this is not what we do up here. But yeah, so, you know, go in the kitchen, front yard, backyard, go to Petco and PetSmart, go to the hardware stores, go to the, wherever you can go safely these days, because I keep forgetting that we're living in a COVID world. And then just increase duration, okay?
Mhm.
And then after you do that for a while, and you get pretty consistent attention, and the dog looks at you for all of your good dogs, then you're going to go to step number 3. And you're going to wait till your dog looks at you. You're going to look down at your dog, and you're going to count to yourself. 1, 2, 3. Don't say it out loud. If the dog has looked at you the whole time, good dog, reward. So now the praise is coming after some duration. And then you're going to start upping those numbers. Okay? You want to get to 15, 20, 30 before you reward. So you don't want to have to constantly keep the dog's attention. Attention is given, not requested. All right? So if you're constantly saying, you know, focus or whatever here, getting the dog to look up at you, you're doing the dog's job. So there are 2 jobs in the ring, and actually with all training, one is you're the leader, and the other is the dog, who's the follower. And if you're constantly trying to get your dog to follow, you have to constantly work at it to get your dog to follow you, to look at you, to heel with you. You're doing the dog's job for them, and they have no incentive to do it on their own. So we're giving the dog incentive to give you their attention. You shouldn't have to stand there and go, with me, up here. Oh, my favorite is check. And it's okay if you use check, but when I first started training, we had this guy who would come in with this big old German Shepherd, and he'd go, check, check, good check. You talk to him, you'd be talking to him, he'd be like, check, good check, 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 good check. So kind of became a joke with us, like the whole check, check thing. But you don't want to have to do that. You want your dog to pay attention to you. If you're trying to get your dog's attention, you're paying attention to your dog, and you can't do the things you need to do as a leader. So we really want to work on that attention. You really want to get it to the point where that dog is just staring at you with loving eyes as much as possible, unless you have a terrier. All right, and then the next thing you're going to do, well, I have a terrier, Carolyn.
No,
Remember the
I
one
know.
that left the ring?
I know. I could tell. Tilly is all over the place till now.
I had to close mine up in the bedroom because she was sitting there when I first got on with the toy at her feet going, looking at me like, grab the toy. So, and there she is crying now. She heard me bark. All right. The last step for peekaboo is to add some distractions. So it could be something as simple as standing facing a wall, but standing right there. Okay, because it's really hard for a dog to stand right in front of something and not look at it. You can do that with gates. Like if you have gates at home or in your training facility, walk up to the gate and like literally just like that far from it, and just have your dog look at you. And of course, the other criteria you're going to lessen. So you're not going to, if you're getting a 15-second look with just a good dog at the end, and you start adding the distractions, you're not going to expect that. You're going to go back to just the good dog reward, good dog reward. So, and then build up with that. But it could be standing outside a dog park, standing next to, a jogging trail. I guess we can't really do a lot of these things anymore. standing next to a pond where no people are around, but there are lots of ducks. So you can just whatever your dog, on the corner of a busy street, if your dog likes to chase cars, just the corner of a busy street, and just whenever the dog looks at you, reward. This is, I tell my clients, this is like the foundation of everything else you're going to do. If you can't get your dog's attention all the time, anytime you need it, you can't tell them to sit. They're not going to come. They're definitely not going to heel. So in the ring, if you haven't been in the ring before, there is a lot of pressure on the dog and on you. Like, you will do everything different in the ring than you do in training, and your dog will know it. And then there's this person following you around with a clipboard. And a lot of them are old and have weird, I mean, they have the old, I'm saying that as an old person, but like they have like kind of old person gait. So if you're young and your dog's not used to somebody being with you, and then somebody kind of hobbling behind, and they're just like, what's going on back there? So the ring is a really hard place to, for a dog to be, I think, which is one reason why we need to make it fun. And so you want to make sure that you have this really, these behaviors really down really well before you enter the ring. One more thing I want to talk about, and that is leading your dog. And that kind of goes back to this thing where there's two jobs. There's leading and there's following, and you guys are the leaders. If you didn't know that before, you are, and you have my permission to lead your dog. So a lot of people, when they walk, they're looking back at their dog. They're like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. You are always going to slow a dog down when you do that. And you're always going to lose their attention, because if somebody comes up and walks in your face, you're going to turn away, right? We don't just go, if somebody turns around and goes, hey, how you doing? You don't just stand there. You kind of go, oh. So you're always going to lose your dog's attention, and your body posture is pushing them back. And so they're never going to keep up with you. So the way we're going to change that, if that's what's happening with you, I know a lot of you have probably trained your dogs really well, especially if you've done like obedience or something. But I know a lot of beginners have this particular issue. So there's an exercise called targeted walking that I like to do. And that is basically, it's not a heel. Dog is not in a heel for this. They're on a short leash though, but it's a loose leash. All right, so you know, you can loop your hand around the leash once. I was looking to see if I had a leash up here, but I don't. And then hang your hand down at the side. You don't need it in heel position up by your belly button or anything. Just hang your hand down there. Wait until your dog sits, and then choose something that you are going to walk to in the beginning about 8 feet away, maybe 8 to 10 feet away, okay? And you are going to look at that thing for the whole walk, all right? You are going to keep your shoulders straight as you head towards that thing. It can be a cone, it can be a crack in the sidewalk, it can be a tree, doesn't matter, just something that you can see. You're gonna walk towards it, and as long as that leash is loose, you're gonna say, good dog, that's a good dog, really good, good job, good dog, good boy, okay? So you're just gonna praise, as long as your arm isn't being pulled, you're just gonna praise your dog. And then when you get there, you're just going to wait for your dog to sit, and then you're gonna be like, okay, and love all over your dog. All right? And then as they get good at going 8 to 10 feet, then you can go 12 to 15 feet. And you keep adding on. Your walk should be very brisk, which is part of the rules in Rally. You can actually get points off up to an NQ for lack of briskness, okay? So you wanna make sure that you've got some pep in your step when you're walking with your dog. Also, you want your dog to be enjoying it, and nobody enjoys like plodding along, slow pace. I gotta look at her. Like, say, let's go, come on, we're going to a party. Party's at that end, and then they get a reward. All right? Simple exercise. It's incredibly powerful. It's one of my favorites. I have a lot of clients that have worked with other trainers, and then they come to me because they want to increase their scores. And that's one of the first things we do. It's just, maybe I should call it power walk. Anyway, Targeted walking. We'll call it a power heel when we change it to the heel. But because you're not saying heel, the dog doesn't have to be in heel position. The dog is just learning to follow you. But more importantly, you're learning to lead. So when you get in the ring, each one of those signs is just a targeted walk. You're going from one sign to the next, and you are leading your dog to those signs, and they have learned to follow along with you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
While you're doing this exercise, do you want, if you're looking ahead, do you want the dog to be looking at you the whole time that you're walking ahead?
Not for this. When I get into heel,
Okay.
that's when I start asking for the attention. But this one is really, honestly and truly, it's mostly about the people. Most people don't lead their dogs, especially if they're worried about their placement and their focus, because they're looking at their dog and they want their dog to be like right there, you know, and getting rid of all of that. And you are free now. You are free to lead your dog from one place to another and have fun doing it. And don't use the word heel, because you're not healing. So that's a very good question. Yeah. Any other questions? No. You understand everything? So, all right. If you guys don't have any questions.
I do, actually.
Okay, good.
So when you stop, the dog should just automatically sit without a command?
Yes. And we'll go into that in the next lesson, how to get an automatic sit. But for this exercise, we don't even care where the dog sits. We're just going to wait for the dog to sit. And then as soon as that butt hits the ground, yay, they can come in front. They can move a little bit away. So I have a hierarchy of behaviors that I expect for each thing that I do. And I start with the most important, the most basic thing. And then I mold it, you know, so that I mold things that are less important and a little pickier. But if you can't lead your dog and you don't have your dog following with you, all that other stuff is going to be really, really difficult. So we're just going to walk along, and then eventually the dog's going to learn to sit nicely by her side as opposed to in front or over to the side. Yeah.
So this is to encourage forward motion.
In the both of you, yes. Not just the dog, but you.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Should we be adding distractions to this?
If your dog's really, oh wait, I got two people who are, wonder how long they've been there. Hello, new people. Okay. You can, but I would start off, because really this is about you, especially at the beginning. I would start off without distractions or not caring about distractions. But yes, you always want to, no matter what you're doing, you've got to add distractions at some point because you've got to proof it. Improving is one of my favorite things. Oh my gosh, we had a trainer who knew how to tap dance. And when we were in intermediate working on stays and group class, she would tap dance around the dogs, like tap shoes and everything. We would throw rubber balls. Like, remember those solid Kong rubber balls? And they would just bounce like you wouldn't believe. And we would take a bunch of those and we would just bounce them all over the room during stays. And we had this one lab one time who was so ball crazy, and his owner was like, he'll never learn, he'll never learn. And then one day he was in a sit stay and the ball like stopped bouncing a little bit in front of him and did those little bounces and rolled and landed right between his front feet. And he looked down at the ball and then he looked up at her with this look in his eye that was just hilarious, but he kept his stay. So we also would do healing. Like I would throw treats all over the floor, stinky, high value treats. I would just like throw them all over the floor, and it's like, yep, the dog's got to still pay attention to you. So proofing, the distractions are always good. The more the better. Oh, a few years ago, I started this thing called, what was it called? 1K, I don't know. But somebody had said, one of the high-level no, it wasn't even a high-level trainer. Somebody had posted a video and somebody had asked, how did you teach your dog to do that so well? The dog was very, very focused and it was really good. And I expected the person to say, well, first you start out blah, blah, blah. And the person said, I did this 1,000 times in a million places. So it was 1K, 1M. There we go. 1,000 times in a million, no, 1,000,000 times in 1,000 places. There we go. And so, and I know he wasn't being literal. At least I hope he wasn't. Maybe he was being literal, or she, I don't remember who it was. But I thought that's really what it is. We tend to limit ourselves a lot when we're proofing our dogs. And there's really no reason to. Like, as long as the dog's not in danger, the dog can learn to perform just about anywhere. So I started this thing called, I guess it was 1K, 1M, 1M, 1K, where I was posting videos of me training with my dog in weird places. And one time we were right next to a construction site, and they had one of those jackhammer, not a like one somebody held, but like a little cart that was like a jackhammer. And then the cars were whizzing by because it was a busy street. One car full of lumber a truck came right up next to us. Machines were going beep, beep, beep. Men were shouting at each other, and people were walking up and down the sidewalk. And she did so well, but you know, we worked up to that. But we limit ourselves a lot. Don't limit yourself. Push your dog a little bit. They'll have fun. So dogs are happiest when they know exactly what you want. It's the dog that doesn't know and looks confused and worried when they're in the ring that's not having fun. If you've trained your dog well and proofed them well and they know exactly what you want, that's when they have a good time. So if you're doing rally for fun, that means you need to train even harder than those of us who are seriously doing it. Oh, I have one more thing I forgot to tell you about. Here, I'm going to share the screen a second. It's called a rally walk. And as you start learning the signs, this is a good way to practice them in a lot of different places. So let's see. So this is the Rally Novice. Can everybody see it? The Rally Novice Proofing Walk. There are only there are only 8 behaviors in the Rally Novice ring. If you can do these 8 things, you can qualify in any ring. So it's the heel. We've got straight, spiral, serpentine, and side steps, but it's all the heel. Fronts, and of course it's while walking backwards. Down, moving and stationary. Sit, halt, and then we've got the stay or the wait. We've got turns, which really could be considered heel, but I like to work on turns separately. Finishes to the right or the left, and the paces, which again are heel, but I like to work on those separately. So what I like to do when I practice is just while I'm walking my dog, is just use the sidewalk. Like, it doesn't have to be a wide space. You could use a driveway too. And you just start 8 behaviors, and you start doing them with your dog. So you stop, wait for your dog to sit and get their attention on you. And then you can say heel. You can, you know, go 5 or 6 feet and then do a moving down, and then you can say heel, and you can go and you could, you know, do a 360. You can just do all the stuff as you're walking down the street. And it's just a good way to get your dog used to doing these behaviors anywhere, because once they're in the ring, they need to know that no matter where they are, they need to do these behaviors. So this is a good way to just do that. And I'll send this information with the follow-up. And I also did a video of me doing a rally walk with Flitzer a little bit earlier. So I'll get that uploaded, and I'll send that with the follow-up email. And then we'll cover that more as we keep moving ahead. All right. Let's see. So any other questions?
I do have one more question.
Okay.
When you're, if you wanted to do your own virtual rally, is there a minimum number of commands that you have to set up your course, or can you have like just 5? Do you have to have a certain number?
You mean the cards?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. You have to get the course off the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the course is Go ahead.
When they create these courses, is there a minimum number of cards that they put in these courses?
Yes, I think is novice 10 to 12? Does anybody know offhand? Yeah, okay, so novice is 10 to 12. So there will be 10 to 12 cards on the course.
Okay.
And you can, I mean,
Thank you.
Look at it. You can practice the different signs separately. You can, if you haven't done Rally before and you're just starting this, one of the things you want to do is do short courses. So you can put 2 or 3 signs together at the beginning and get your dog used to going from one sign to the other and doing things in a row. And then, add 3 or 4. So you might want to take those signs that are going to be in the course that you're doing and just work on various short courses with them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I keep wanting to pull the camera down and I can't. All right. Oh my goodness. I'm reading Real Women Train Terriers. Yes, Cindy, it is true. My toy poodle ran out of the obedience ring last year. So embarrassing. It is. I just wanted to die. Oh my gosh. And then I was afraid that the guy who owned the dog was going to say something. He's like, she's a dog. Didn't hurt my dog. I'm like, thank you so much. Because I could have been reported. Targeted walking. Stephanie, are you still here?
Yes.
Okay. So the targeted walking is just picking something of visual target, starting 6 to 8 feet out, and you are going to just take your dog on a loose leash, and you're going to say, let's go. It's not a heel. And you're going to walk assertively and briskly to that target. If the dog is on a loose leash, you're going to praise. You're going to praise continually as long as you're on a loose leash. And then when you get to the other side and the dog sits, you're going to reward and praise and reward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see.
I have a question.
Okay.
What if they don't stand loosely? Do you correct? Do you turn around and go the other way? What do you do in that case?
I don't turn around and go the other way, but I do change direction a bit. And I call it the rule of opposites. So whenever I'm working with the dog, either on loose leash walking or heel, I use the rule of opposites. So if they want to go out ahead, I turn the other way, but I don't do it punitively. Like I'm not like, let's go. I let them know that I'm turning. So Flitzer, let's go. And so that they have a chance to turn with me. And if they don't, they still have to come anyway. So I'm not worried about it, but it teaches them when I say Flitzer, let's go, we're going that way. If they tend to go over that direction, I'll just sidestep this way a little bit, right? If they slow down, I go fast. If they're totally out of control, the opposite of being totally out of control is you just stop and you wait. But I would say starting at 6 to 8 feet, chances are you're not going to have to worry about this right now. I think by the time the dog realizes that he's not doing, that he's just going with you, he's going to be at the end of the walk. So,
okay.
Yeah. And we'll talk about rule of opposites a little bit later because you can use it in the ring to a certain extent. I mean, you can't like totally do curly cues and stuff, but if your dog starts to like wander over this way, you can call them back to you a little bit and use that body language. So. Okay, anybody else?
I have one question. Is there an age limit to be able to start with your puppy for Rally?
I believe, is it a year? Does anybody know? 6 months.
Okay.
Boy, I don't know. I'm thinking it's 6 months.
It's 6 months.
Pardon? 6 months?
It is 6 months.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, so 6 months. I, though, don't take my dog into the ring until they're well over a year old. Because I want to make sure that, I mean, it's one thing to, okay, no, I know how I want to say this. I don't want to take my dog into the ring hoping that he's going to do well. I want to take my dog into the ring knowing that he's going to do well. And so a lot of times when they're younger and they do all right outside of the ring and you go in the ring, they're still puppies. And so there's that issue of maturity. And chances are, if they're well trained, they'll probably do okay. And they might even do well, especially like a 6-month-old puppy is really still kind of not worried about the rest of the world. But I like to wait until I know my dogs are going to do well when I go in the ring, no matter what, so that they're mature and they're well trained and they're well proofed and they've got some experience. Yeah. Okay. And that's my opinion, though. So my opinion's not always right. All right. Anybody else? No. Okay. So, oh, okay. Thank you, Teresa. Start and finish signs are included in the number of signs. So, oh, 12 to 15 signs for novice? You know, I'm working on becoming a judge, but I've been gone for a couple of years, so I've forgotten some of these specifics. All right, well, if nobody else has any other questions, that will be it for tonight. And then I'll put this up on YouTube so you can watch it again if you'd like to refer to it. We'll do a follow-up email. I'll have the sign for the rally walk. And also the directions for the exercises that I mentioned. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you.
oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Next week, we'll work on heels, halts, and turns. Okay?
Okay.
All right, great. See you guys
Have a
next
great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.